This is the Dog Savant Podcast with your host, Brett Endies.
Hey everyone, it's Brett. This is the Dog Savant Podcast. This is going to be an episode about traveling with your dogs. If you can see in the background, we're actually going through Utah right now, and we're in this very odd, middle of nowhere section on I-70 where you go 100 miles without any services, any exits, any towns. There's nothing. Very desolate. I figured I'd make some good use of this time and talk a little bit about how you too can travel with your dog like we just did. We just got back from Colorado visiting my daughter Skylar. That's where I used to live, and I spend a lot of time there, and occasionally I'll drive back and forth, and whether it be flying, driving, RVing, there's things that you can teach your dog both in everyday life and while you're traveling that can make the experience so much more enjoyable. And even if you're having struggles, it's not a lifetime sentence. I find that a lot of people are limiting their enjoyment with their dogs because of behavioral issues, or just not taking some time to teach their dogs how to get out there and how to navigate, whether it be public situations, social situations, or traveling, going to new environments. Dogs love doing this, but they have to have a certain set of rules in place and skills, both behaviorally and in the relationship or in your presence, to be able to handle this in a way that's going to make them enjoyable and happy and not have anxiety tied to these experiences. So that's what we're going to talk about today. As far as for the podcast, as you know, we are on iTunes. So if you're watching this on YouTube, we have an iTunes version. If you're listening on iTunes, we have a YouTube version. I want you to please share, subscribe, rate and review. Tell everyone about this, because it's the only way that this is going to get found by other people. If you are someone who understands how to get podcasts and YouTube videos found online and more views or listeners, reach out to me, dogtrainingla@gmail.com. I'd love to hear from you. Also, if you're a website person or someone who understands that level, I really want to take my website to the next level and work on some other online projects. So I figured I'd put a feeler out there for that too. As far as my show, The Untrainables, we're up to episode 7. It's doing great. I want to thank everyone who watches that show for supporting it and sharing it, and keep those questions coming, because as you see, every once in a while we're doing a live Q&A, so I want to be able to help you guys more personally in addition to the information I'm putting out there. And that's even what this podcast does, is it tries to be a supplement to both the show and the work I do with my individual clients here in Los Angeles. Well, not here in Los Angeles, but where I'm going back to. Just because I want to be able to help as many dogs as possible. This stuff works. It really is cutting to the chase as far as why dogs have behavior issues and what can be done to resolve them as far as the root cause of it. Not just symptom solving, or not just avoiding it altogether, or labeling these dogs, as lost causes, and the worst demise can happen to them because of this, human misinterpretation of why dogs do what they do and why they struggle with sometimes severe, but not always as severe as they seem, behavioral issues. So I want to just keep sharing that and getting that info out there any way I can. Let's see, what else am I going to talk? Oh, and we have a sponsor. I don't always mention it, but it's WildZorafoods.com. It's WildZora, Z-O-R-A, and they make healthy, freeze-dried and convenient paleo type of meals. I eat them myself. I use them for backpacking. I use them for convenience. They're really great when you're on the go. I order them by the case. I reached out to them, and there you go. They're our first sponsor. So enter the code The Dog Savant, THEDOGSAVANT, when you check out, and you will get 20% off your first order at WildZorafoods.com. Okay, so we are going to talk about traveling with your dog. I find that this is something that is, a lot of people reach out and say, well, my dog kind of had an issue, had some social, problems, anxieties, and we traveled, and it was just a disaster. And I always tell people, if your dogs are having trouble navigating everyday life and they're struggling with social interactions or issues in the home or on the walks, it's going to be exacerbated when you're traveling, because we have anxiety as a traveler, we're trying to relax, or we're in a new environment. There's a lot of things going on that are going to trigger these issues in a dog if they're existing even in a lesser level in your everyday life. So you need to resolve that. You need to make sure your dog trusts your leadership, can make calm behavioral choices, conscious behavioral choices, listens to your commands in all types of settings, both in the home and out in public, walks on a leash properly, doesn't react to other dogs or new interactions with people, can go into a new environment without over-assessing and, overreacting or having anxieties tied to it. And all of this really you can teach a dog in everyday life, which you have constant experiences to your opportunities to practice, but you can mock this up. You can take your dog to Starbucks or to the coffee shop and practice some duration place training where they can learn to hold a down command for a good hour. So when you go to your travel location or your new hotel room, you can teach the dog to settle in and to not over assess, not have anxiety tied to whatever you're trying to experience. Walking properly so your dog can stay next to you and they're not trying to always project ahead and then they're going to overreact to other dogs they see or new people or new environments. These are all things that you want to have. Pardon me, I'm going to just get the sun out of my way. And if you see in the background, I think you're getting some cool scenery, guys. I got the new Jeep, by the way, that I'll talk about here too, but you have much more open air. Dogs love it, I love it. But you can also, it's cool because you can see the canyons. This is so awesome, the scenery. Utah is a very pretty state. So again, my dogs, I have them here, they're sleeping. We're taking enough ample stops because they trust that any element of their life I can decide for them because they are my dogs. I'm not their owner, if you will, meaning they have to anticipate or signal me or assess or ask for or project any need because I'm good at providing for them in the timeline that they require in a day, week, whatever it be, whether it be the right amount of exercise, when to go potty. We're doing a lot of turns. I got to keep adjusting, keep the sun. But that's really where a dog has discontentments because they aren't able to, be at peace with the ability to just go with the flow. I always say that term a lot. The ability to not anticipate or think 10 steps ahead is what makes a happy, well-behaved dog, as long as they're getting their needs met, right? So a dog can, Minnie's here just laying half asleep, Bowie's in the back there, and they don't worry because we've taken enough stops. They're going to stop soon enough again when it's the right time for potty or some exercise, and they're going to get their food and water today when needed as well, and they don't have to be pining away for it or overthinking it, and they just accept I guess we're in the car now, we'll just chill out. And I would say dogs can go into this semi-hibernation type of state if they are able to not overthink things that we should be thinking about for them because they're dogs and they're meant to have this integral relationship where they kind of earn what they get without having to seek it, especially when they're living in our very well provided for situations that we share with them, right? They're living in very civil society compared to how us and them used to coexist together. It's a philosophy, but there's some very clear things you can do to teach your dog how to see it that way. Basic structure around the home, place training, which you see in, I don't know how many episodes I talk about, do videos about separately from the Untrainables, where we do this a lot in our episodes. So these are all things that if you take the time, your dogs can learn these skills, and it is time. You're gonna have to practice, but dogs want to have this balanced state. It's not going to be a forever thing. It's just sometimes they learn bad habits that develop these ways of coping with everyday life and social situations that aren't balanced, that are imbalanced and not their most content, peaceful states of minds that they can achieve if we can teach them. It's always say it's mindfulness training, meditation training for dogs, and just like people, which I work on as much as I can, it removes our anxieties. It helps us stay present and not think of the future or past, and that mindfulness keeps us at peace and helps us deal with life's problems or what's going around us or the stimuli that's presented in front of us in a peaceful, calm, happy way. And it just keeps mind. Remember, I should be practicing more of what I preach. I'm not above this. We all struggle, but I even figured if I share some of my struggles, my anxieties, it can help you realize that it's not a life sentence for us either. And even just being able to understand what these dogs must go through on such an exponential level, because I get overstimulated by being in social situations and overthinking, and when there's loud sounds and bright lights and all that, that's why I'm always adjusting, because the light is very intense for me. I have that kind of mindset where it becomes unfiltered at times, and I have to teach myself to just take little bits of information in at a time so I can focus on what I need to and not become overwhelmed or overstimulated as well, and not get that mental rubber band where I'm thinking 10 steps ahead and then I feel pulled forward, and that's why dogs have these issues. Why do you think a dog pulls on a leash? They see where they're going before they get there, and their body feels like a rubber band being propelled like a slingshot ahead in that intensity. By the time they encounter something like another dog, boom, you're going to get your reactivity. That's where these issues come from. And that's where you talk a lot about sensory integration to train dogs, not just throwing treats at them or punishing them, because that's already, the issues have already bubbled to the surface. We have to deal with the root sensory cause. So traveling with your dog, again, it's not just getting them out there and teaching them how to get used to, being at Disneyland. It's actually how to get used to navigating everyday life, from the most common interactions in the home and the walks to getting them out into more public spaces and teaching them how to deal with social interactions and listen to commands and trust your leadership and direction there as well. So that's traveling with your dog. If you have questions related to this, I'm sure we're gonna do more episodes about this, and I want to in the Q&A maybe elaborate on this subject matter as well, because it's 2018. Everybody's traveling with their dogs. There's never been more pet-friendly hotels, restaurants. I mean, I'm not joking. People do take their dogs to Disney, right? Like, it's just a thing, and it's just the way it is, and I have no problem with that. I think it's kind of great. It's not bad for a guy like me who is a dog trainer, because there's more people in need of my services for these things. But I think that some people aren't doing the work, and it's creating issues for other people in the public, which I really am not a fan of having your dog's issues affect other people when other people are doing the work or didn't ask for that. So do the work, and then your dog will be a great member of society, and you can travel with them, and you can teach them, how to enjoy everything with you, whether it be I took a dog to Europe for a client last summer. So traveling, when a dog is taught the proper skills, you can do all these amazing things. I throw it out there, but it really is. I mean, I'm thinking, you can just take your dog on an overnight backpacking trip, the most basic thing, but you can travel around the world with your dog if you can make sure their needs are met and they're at peace, and trust your ability to get them out there. Okay, so I think that's going to be that for this episode. I unfortunately lost track of the episode numbers. Sometimes we'll do a few of these in a row. So if I'm wearing the same shirt, it means that we're kind of stacking them. But every Monday we're going to have a new episode. Maybe in the future we're going to have more than one episode a week. Watch the Untrainables every Saturday on Facebook Watch. My website, dogtrainingla.com. That's the hub of where everything's located. So if you're in Los Angeles and you are in need of dog training services, or you want to link to any of my other social media videos, YouTube, anything like that, please go there. Or you can go to youtube.com, dogtrainingla.com. That is dogtrainingla. That's my YouTube channel, I believe. And then I'm on Patreon, patreon.com, the Dog Savant, right? So you can find it anywhere. Just type my name, you'll get it. Anyway, still keep supporting the show. Thank you so much. And stay tuned for more episodes of the Untrainables, the podcast, and all this good stuff. Train your dog. Get out there with your dog. Have a great day, everyone. I love you. Thank you.